This episode and every episode of the NorCal X Cast podcast is brought to you by thecafeketo.com. You can find their baked goods at the Vesalius Farmers Market every Saturday, where they feature a few of the menu's items and rotate them each week. You can also place orders online, large quantities only, please, as they are baked to order. You receive the freshest that the Cafe Keto has to offer. New additions are constantly being made to their entire menu. See how the Cafe Keto works and get yours today. That's thecafeketo.com. This episode is also brought to you by bridgecoffeeco.com. Come visit the roastery. They are now located at 101 Clark Avenue, Yuba City, California, 95901. Yuba City is a small agricultural town about 30 to 45 minutes north of Sacramento. They now have a brick and mortar business. They started online. They're open from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. They're a small batch nano craft coffee roaster. They source premium special grade coffee from around the world. They carefully select green coffees that are profiled, cupped, and roasted in small batches. Everything they do is fresh. That's one of my favorite roasteries around here. I mean, of course, I don't live far from Yuba City. And I love buying their whole beans and just grinding them in my grinder and having my own French press. I love Bridge Coffee Co. Please visit them at bridgecoffeeco.com. This episode and every episode is also brought to you by eltorero530.com. Come visit us, Marysville, California. 1421 B Street. B Street also has Highway 70, Highway 20. On the way up to Oroville or Chico, you could see us. We're in the same building as a Dollar Tree store, across the street from the Gold Sox building, at the edge of Ellis Lake. They've been in Marysville since 2001, so they're going on 17 years in May of this year. Check out the website, eltorero530.com. Check out our Instagram. Soon they'll have an online store with spices and special cuts in the near future. Again, eltorero530.com.
All of Northern California is out of a drought.
Nearly 200,000 people remain evacuated with no clear indication on when they can return home. Several environmental groups warned of a potential catastrophe similar to this.
Crews working overtime, dropping boulders to secure Oroville's emergency spillway.
Earlier, the biggest burning in Yuba County, forcing residents out of their homes. Another destroyed vineyards in Livermore.
Let me be clear that cities that have sanctuary status are engaging in their legal right.
So you're ready to go to jail over this?
Yes.
California opening 2018 with its first legal recreational marijuana sale.
Buy and possess for anyone 21 and over. Lines forming outside dispensaries from Oakland to San Diego.
You feed my fire. Letters you never sent just feed my fire. The calls you never made just feed my fire. See a version of me, believe that I'm with you wherever you go. And all I ask of you is a reminder once in a while. You're not a dream. Are you a dream? But fight for me, and you'll see how much I need you tonight. In time you'll find I'm doing everything just right to have your skin on mine, to have no lights other than your eyes. White sheets are the only thing, white sheets stopping me from getting on my feet.
Okay, so I'm a singer-songwriter from the Sacramento area. I've traveled everywhere, every coast, playing music. I've been to the East Coast twice. I've been to the up and down the West Coast at least 4 times. Went to Austin, Texas. And I play with the band for bigger shows. I'm available on all social medias. And I'm passionate about not animal testing.
How long have you been writing songs for? Like, when did you think like it became officially your title? Or because I know it's hard being an artist, and I know it's hard to even get like support or people behind you, right? Did you have any difficulties making that transition from like, you know, living a 9-to-5 to kind of pursuing what you're pursuing, what you like now?
Yeah, well, how I did that was a really long story. Basically, my friend, I like to write songs since I was probably 16 or 17 years old, and I just did them as a hobby. But then people started, coming out to shows, and people started asking, "Oh, did you write new songs?" People started getting curious, and so when I was 19, I believe, 18, no, 20, I don't remember, but. I was working
your late teens, right?
It's my late teens, yes. I was working 3 jobs at once. I was a barista at Chocolate Fish Coffee from like 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then from 2 to 6 p.m. I would nanny. And then from 6:30 to 11 p.m. I would work at a restaurant called Masulo's. And that was 4 days a week. So I was just working. And then with all that money I saved, I actually bought myself my first car. And then my friend said, "Hey, do you want to go backpack New York? Like, do you want to go backpack the East Coast? We can go to Canada and stuff." And I was like, "Oh, okay, for sure." So I quit all my jobs. I quit all of them to go backpack for 2-3 weeks or whatever. I quit them because I was sick of working, and then this was a great opportunity, so I quit. And then 1 week before we were supposed to take off to to the East Coast, my friend tells me that he has a full-time job and he just got an apartment in Boston, so he can't travel anywhere anymore. And this is after I quit my job and bought my plane ticket. And I just asked him, what am I supposed to do? I don't know. So my aunt from New Hampshire came through, and she said, "You can stay with me as long as you would like." So I actually ended up moving to New Hampshire for 6 months. And that's kind of where my music, that's where I decided I'm going to do music full time. I'm not going to go back to my waitress and my barista job. Because on the East Coast, people were so demanding. They're like, "Oh, we want you to come back. And they were giving me money. They were giving me $20 to say, "Please fill your gas tank to come back out here and play." And that's when I realized, okay, you can do this.
So this was never planned. You never envisioned it, never thought about it. Like, do you know what your name means in Spanish?
Xochitl, yes. So my dad's from Mexico, and my father plays every instrument ever. And my grandfather, his father, sang in the choir. He was a cantor for church for 50 years. My grandmother, from my mom's side, was also in choir, and my mom and my father met playing in church. So there's always been music in my family, but my parents are really into school, and they prefer me put my energy in school, but we've worked that out since, and it's all good now.
So speaking about how your parents, what they wanted for you, right? School, and you kind of just went on a whim and went to the East Coast, and then it seems like that's where you found what you wanted to do, right? Just being out there. And you didn't have any fear of maybe failing, or nothing really went into your thought? You're just kind of living day by day, not really thinking about... Or overthinking, because it seems like a lot of people do that.
Overthink, of course. Well, ever since I was a little kid, I've had trouble in school. I've always had difficulties. I've barely passed. I mean, it's a blessing I passed high school kind of thing. And so school is not my path. School is not for everyone. And with the whole fear thing, what else would you rather be doing? Would you just rather wish you were in the East Coast every day and working your crappy job that you don't like. Like, I didn't like being a barista. It was terrible. I spilled coffee all the time. So why would I want to go back to that? It's better to know than not know. I'd honestly rather fail. And then when someone told me one time, when I was learning how to drive stick shift, think of this. He told me, I sat in the car, he goes, you're going to stall this car. I was like, thanks. That's really nice of you. And he's like, no, you're going to stall it. Like, this is your first time. You're not going to be good at anything you do the first. You are going to fail. And once he kind of put it like that, and he's like, yeah, you can stall 100 times, but you're going to get good at it eventually. But you will stall. Like, don't be afraid. You're going to stall.
That was your dad telling you that, or
no, my friend? My friend actually, his name is Toast, but he taught me how to drive stick.
Do you feel that anybody encouraged you or inspired you to kind of become who you are now, or is it just kind of learning as you go and you're just growing every day and just kind of putting yourself out there and just living in the moment? Like, a lot of people don't live like that. A lot of people live with, I need to accumulate X amount and then I can do this, and it never works like that. It never works like that. And I think that's the whole reason I do this podcast, is just true stories with no filters. And my hope is that if you listen to something similar 5 days a week of just different people up and down Northern California and just doing something that's like benefiting society. Like, I think artists are really important, and like society doesn't really put more attention to them or give them more what they need, because it's just nothing compares to a live show or being there in the presence and feeling the energy and the ambiance. It's not the same, And then, like, I was listening to your YouTube channel about giving music away for free, right?
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand that. They think, no, well, I should be free. But no, you've put so much time and effort into it, kind of like a lifetime, right? Like an author.
Absolutely.
If he writes a book, it's like his life right there in those pages, and you're learning something from that person's life. And it's the same thing from your music. And when people can hear that and understand more about you and see who you are, then I feel people want to support your cause more, because there's no, do this for me and I'll do. No, it's just you are who you are. People get a better feel for you, understand your story, and the more they want to be like part of you and like support your cause. I've just seen that too much on podcasts where you can tell when people aren't being transparent or aren't being real. Right. And the more real they are and different they are, the more you like them. Just my perspective from it. But where was I going with this? What were we kind of...
What inspired you to not live in fear? I think because that's kind of what you're talking about.
Well, I'll give you an example, because like I also come from a Hispanic family. And, I used to play college football and play different sports, but our teams weren't that good. So my parents would always say, you guys are always losing. You I never felt there was like a support system on my side. Like, it was always negative. So when you always get that, it's kind of hard to be like, yeah, I'm going to make it work. But sometimes people just don't listen to anything. Like with you, it kind of seems like you just went with intuition and just didn't do what you didn't want to do, because everyone falls into that trap though, of getting a guaranteed paycheck. Nobody does what you're doing, and I think it's really important that your story is out there, and it's always changing. You're something now, but a year from now you could be something completely different.
Every 6 months, like, it's unbelievable. Really.
Did you do this last year? Was this your first year of touring, or was that the more consistent kind of touring, or how often have you been touring? Like,
so I basically, last year I pretty much lived on the road. I was home, I think, 4 months out of the year. God, it was crazy. Last year I went up and down the coast twice. I think I went to New York, I went to Texas, and I was in the Bay Area quite a bit. And so if you know me, if you like watch my social media, I'm literally always in my car. Always, always, always. So the last 6 months I have finally gotten like my own place in Sacramento where I can go home and just, it's different living. I love traveling, but people don't see the ugly side of it. I'm not on vacation 10 months out of the year. I am traveling, I'm eating Taco Bell, I'm sleeping on couches, I'm sleeping on, inflatable twin-size beds with 2 other people, or we're jammed in a car for 9 hours a day. It's not glamorous. So I love it, but I'm definitely on a little break right now where I can sleep in my warm bed and I can go home and I can kick back and I can watch TV as loud as I want. And I can make cookies at 4 o'clock in the morning if I choose to. So I really, really miss that freedom in my own space. It's really important to me.
So, how long have you been on the road? Is this your first year for the longest time that you've been on the road, or?
I guess last year was my big year. I started traveling like crazy when I went to the East Coast. I feel like that's what started it. But even before then, I've been traveling. I've been to the East Coast like 4 times now, twice with music. I've always been traveling. I don't know. Yeah.
So when you travel so much, and I know, are you still a vegan, or you're a struggling vegan? Like you said, you eat Taco Bell.
I am. I do not purchase. I don't like giving a title, but I don't buy anything with meat, animal products. Mm-hmm. I won't buy it. But am I allowed to cuss on this channel?
Of course.
Okay, so if my grandmother makes me tamales, I'm not going to be an asshole and be like, Grandma, I can't eat these because I don't eat meat. Like, my grandma made that. Or if I go to someone's house and they're like, oh, we cooked you a huge dinner, like, we hope you enjoy it, I'm not going to be rude, But I'm not going to purchase them. And then I think the more people that do that, the more we will change. Or I think even if we just, limit our meat options or just if we cut it in half, that would be a huge improvement. But I'm Hispanic. I have a lot of meat. I'm not going to be rude when my parents or my grandma spend a lot of time making a meal for 21 people, and then I'm the one who's like, I can't eat it. I'm not going to do that. So, sorry. A lot of vegans aren't going to like that, but it's just I live in the real world, and if I don't purchase things, I eat meat maybe twice a month, if that,
So how do you do it, though, when you're on the road? Like you said, do you know months in advance, or you just know weeks in advance where you're going to be playing, where you're going to be staying? How do you go about planning that whole excursion? Once you do you have everything planned for 2017 or not yet?
I have the first half planned out. I will be in Los Angeles in January, and then I have certain things planned out with my band in April. Honestly, it just come as you go, because sometimes I feel like, wow, I have no shows booked in December. I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to be able to eat, straight up. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, just, hey, can you play December 12th? Hey, can you play December 5th? Hey, sorry, really last minute. Can you play December 21st? Okay, yes. You just have to take it every day at a time, one day at a time. Yeah, and just I do whatever side work I can. I'll nanny, I'll do dishes, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Well, I think that's good because, do you kind of plan anything out? Do you see yourself 5 years from now, 10 years from now, or do you not look that far ahead? You're just kind of in the moment, right?
I literally live day to day because life is really short, and the more I travel and the more people I meet and the more stories I hear, it's just, you can be the healthiest, happiest, go-lucky person and your life can be taken tomorrow. You could be the grumpiest Scrooge person and you can live to be 106. So you just do not know, and life is crazy and it throws things at you, and your job is just to be the best person that you can be, and whatever that means, do it.
So a lot of your songwriting, does it come when you're on the road or when you're in a certain state of mind? Do you take notes all the time, or how does that whole writing process kind of work for you?
It comes in waves, because the first 3 weeks that I moved into my new apartment, I was like, oh my God, I found it again, and now I'm kind of dead. And honestly, I blame the winter. I get really depressed and just lazy. I get very lazy in the winter.
Take some vitamin D supplement.
Yeah.
It really does help. It really does.
I need to take something because it's just so gloomy. I'm looking outside right now, and it's ugly. It just comes in waves, whatever I'm inspired by. If I'm really depressed emotionally, better stuff comes out. But I try not to be that way. I'm always pretty happy, so I don't write as much right now. It doesn't make sense. I'm a happy person, but I write better when I'm sad, so what am I supposed to do?
Well, you know what? No, I've read that in a lot of places. Like artists, some of their best material is when they're in the most difficult moments.
Absolutely, yes.
What's his name? David Cho. Have you ever heard of David Cho?
No.
He's an artist. He's Korean out in Southern California, and he would talk about the worst times in his he ended up at one point in a Korean prison.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think he's born here. and he's a very popular artist. But he was just saying that he would try to mimic that instead. Like, he got a couple breakthroughs where he made a couple million from his paintings. But he said instead of living like in a luxury place, he'd try to mimic being. And to me, like, I was like,
that's genius.
Okay,
really.
I guess. Yeah, you know what? It does, because once you're too comfortable, then you don't want to create. And when you're forced, to kind of make ends meet, then you're forced to be creative and you're forced to put yourself out there and do things, right?
Yes.
Do you... So you're from here, from Sacramento,
Yes.
born and raised?
Yes.
So tell my audience a little bit about life growing up. You said your dad played a lot of instruments. Would you always go watch him play? Your mom was in the choir?
So my mom played piano in church. My dad played guitar in church, and that's kind of how they met. And so when I was... when my mom was pregnant with me, they would put headphones on my mom's belly, and like they just started the whole music thing very young, and it really is in my blood. All my cousins sing, play guitar, write something. My grandpa was a composer. So we all have some sort of music talent on my father's side, at least. And my mom also plays piano. So when I was born, there's piano. I think pretty sure there was a piano in the house and guitars in the house, obviously, and tons of instruments. Tons of instruments. And I started playing violin in second grade, I believe, and then I went to piano, and then I went to guitar. And then I did flute for a little while, and then I kind of just liked the piano and the guitar from there.
So now that you have a little bit more free time, are you Netflix binging, listening to certain music? What do you got going on?
I don't have free time. The winter has been a little slow, and I've gotten kind of bored with doing the bar gigs. I sing in bars for like 3 hours, and some of them are fun, some of them I really enjoy, but some of them are just absolute. I'm doing it for the money, and I don't like that feeling whatsoever. So for the winter, I picked up a job where I actually teach art to second grade in Elk Grove, and so I work every day, and I'm never bored. I never have time to do anything, and so I'm not a big Netflix person. I like doing something. I can't just sit and watch a movie. It gives me like a headache. I hate doing that.
So what is it that you're doing? Yoga, exercise, hiking? What exactly are you?
I teach art, so like I have to think of a new art project every single day for these kids and teach them how to draw or how to use chalk, how to use paint, how to use yarn. And
is that something you do on the side always? You've always been an artist, or?
Yeah, I'm very creative. I'm also a seamstress. I sew my own outfits for my performances and stuff like that. So I've always I can make anything out of like a box and toothpicks or something. I'm very creative. So I got this job, and it was kind of a blessing, really. I feel like I had to do something different. I wanted to help this world somehow, because the more I learn, the more bitter I get, and the only thing we can do really is just to try to help people, and our kids are really the future, and it's made me really happy seeing how open these kids are, how they're friends with everyone. They don't care about race, they don't care about they don't care, and so I feel like the younger the kids are, the more open they are, and we can build a better place, really, by helping our kids, because they're the ones that are going to be in charge.
It's funny you're telling me all these things, because a lot of the guests that I interview, I really don't know much about them, and I send out lots of emails, and sometimes like 1,000. I think I've looked at it in a week or something, and I think I'd get like 10 replies, and a lot of them, I get it. Everyone's busy, and that's why I first started doing everything via Skype online, and then people didn't know how to have earphones, but it would just, the audio was really bad, and I was like, you know what? When I started it, my whole goal was to travel up and down Northern California and be discover and just inspire people to just get out, hire a naturalist guide or something, or go to the coast. You don't have to spend money to see all these beautiful attractions that are here in California, and even visit a farm or an organic farmers market, just things that I think are important, and I just want to shine a light on them, because nobody is, and they're far and in between. But if you could kind of listen and be I'm going to take a day trip up there and go check it out and see the scenery, and just kind of get out of your your normal space that you're always in? Because I was in there for a long time. Like, I worked at a casino here, Thunder Valley Casino, for 5 years.
I play there all the time.
Yeah?
All the time, yeah.
Did you ever play in the summer series, or is it indoors when they pull it indoors?
I played every other week in the summer at
Really?
Thunder Valley, yeah, outside on the patio. And then my band plays there April 8th, inside. Thunder Valley.
So, talking about playing outside, have you ever done any festivals, any big festivals or anything?
Yeah, I've done concert in the park in Sacramento a couple years ago. That was fun. I will be playing the mains. There's a convention. What is it called? There's a gathering called NAMM in Los Angeles, and it's a really big music convention, and my band is playing there. So, yeah, I played all sorts of weird stuff.
So when you rolled up in here, you were telling me you just got back from Portugal, right? So how was it? Was it what you thought it was? You see anything different? Like, I know, do you speak Spanish or no?
Yeah.
So it's similar, right? Like,
well, that's what I thought. I can read it. I can kind of read the Portuguese, like the commercials and the signs. I kind of got a hold of what they wanted, but speaking it, no, it's not that close. It's the same amount of closeness as like Italy or Italian is. I don't know. Like, it wasn't very close, and so I can understand some stuff, but not as much as I would have liked.
Was there anything that you were kind of surprised by being there, or the food, or anything that stood out to you while visiting Portugal?
Well, I have been to Europe before. I've been to Spain. I went to Spain again, and I've been to Italy and Hungary and France and
traveling, or as
Germany.
playing, or as an artist? Just traveling.
Okay. So I have been to Europe before, so I wasn't totally shocked, but it was just a nice reminder of how fast America is and how obsessed with like the rat race we are, and we live life so like no one takes time out of their day to get coffee with like their friend anymore and just sit for 2 hours and just talk at the coffee. No one does that here. We don't do that. It's like we all want to like hang out for 30 minutes and like, oh, I'm gonna go home and I gotta watch like Netflix, or I gotta do the dishes, or I gotta go, and we never just slow the fuck down for like ever. We're so panicked and anxiety over here. It's really an eye-opener.
Are you like that too, or is it just what you see from your surroundings,
Honestly,
your friends and family?
I used to be. If you would have interviewed me a week ago or a year ago, I would have been like, it's important to work. Like, you need to be working every day. You need to be doing something every day towards music, blah, blah, blah. And now the more I'm learning about the world and the planet, we all just need to take a deep breath and try to make people better, because I don't know, the world can be a really ugly place.
But where are you getting your information? Facebook, Vice, reading? Where do you kind of...
I read the news, like BBC, New York Times, like Washington Post. Like, I do research. I care. I genuinely care about what's happening in the world. The Syrian war is just making me like so sad. But anyway, so it's important just to really slow down and take a deep breath and realize what's going on in the world and figure out how you want to help it, because everyone's so busy doing them and worrying about what they want and their goals and their problems that we're not taking a minute to look at everything else and how we can help other people.
So what do you think people should do to kind of help out their community or their town or whatever? Like you're saying, people need to slow down. What do you feel people should do more of that? You see that maybe they're just working too much or just concentrating on this machine, right? Because I feel like we live in a machine, right? Where we're just producing and consuming, right? Producing and consuming.
Right.
So how do people break out of that habit? What do you feel from your perspective or your opinion? How do you think what should people do to help them break that cycle of getting out of this machine that we live in right now?
Well, we just need people who support artists. Honestly, because I have so many friends that work these jobs that they're like, it's okay, I don't mind it. But they're like amazing photographers, they're amazing videographers, or they're amazing painters, But they can't quit because no one supports art. They can't. Like, they physically will not be able to afford rent if they quit their job that they aren't crazy about. But if they had support, people were like, I'll buy your art. Like for a Christmas present, I'll buy your art, or I'll buy your photography, or I'll purchase your music, But we don't support that, so we feel like we have to be in the machine because we don't see another way out. But I'm just stubborn, and I will not be a part of the machine. I don't want to be good at that, and so we just need more support for artists and the rest of creative
do you ever participate in that second week of the month here in Sacramento that they do? I know it's been growing, right, for
like
artists.
Giving Tuesdays?
It's like second Saturday, right?
Oh, yeah. We used to have that. We had that a while ago. Is that still going on?
I think so. I think. Well, I know it. I don't know if it is right now because it's raining, right? Because they have everything outside.
Yeah.
But I remember talking to a couple girls who are in Stockton, and they lived out here and in Chico, but they're originally from Stockton, and they started a thing called Stock Market, where like local creators and designers and artists, and even people that make food, they would find them like and be okay.
Yeah.
You're from. I want you guys all to come here. Like a couple of them have open restaurants or have open online stores.
Oh, wow.
And it's kind of like things like that really inspire me because, like, if you're in a town or a city where nothing's going on, do something, right? Like, start like a running or a walking group or a hike, something where you're just giving to help one another.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like, there's a lot of bad things going on, right? Like, I started noticing that too, where I was just like, what can I do, right? And slowly I started realizing we are doing it. I think we're slowly building communities of people changing. Like, I drive for Uber. Like, I quit.
Nice. Yeah.
It's very interesting.
You must meet some interesting people.
Well, and I do it in the Bay Area. So I started doing that in August. Like, I started here in Sacramento just because I started working from home in July. And I was doing other people's podcasts. And then mine took a backseat. And I took a couple from here to Burlingame and then got pulled into the city. And it was very nerve-wracking. It's not something that I would recommend to everybody. To me, it was just an adventure because I was like, how else can I get to, get to know the city? And it was fun at first, but now it's like, I don't want to do it no more. But I'm forced to kind of do it. Because I notice that my passengers are listening. And the numbers have been going up because of my passengers. So I'm like, okay, so I'll just do it at least. Oh,
wow, yeah.
It's just weird. It's weird, right? But
yeah, interesting.
I kind of have a better feel for the city, but I've noticed like every week it's gotten progressively worse where people, they feel entitled. Like, they think they know better than like an app or how to get from point A to point B when it really isn't. It's no big deal. Like, I know how to avoid traffic. And people just get upset, like, why are you going this way? And I'm like, dude, it's all red. You want to just sit there? But it's interesting, like, what goes on in San Francisco and just society in general. But I've had very interesting conversations. One guy was telling me about, I can't remember who the authors were, but they're talking about civilizations, right? When they peak is when they grow, like, some kind of technology or they're powerful in warfare. But we've already kind of gone in that peak where now it's transitioning to people building communities and helping one another. Like, that never existed before. It was all war. It was all taking over other tribes or nations. But now you're beginning to see, like, the more we see how different we are, the more we appreciate it and, like, accept people. So, I don't know. I think... just like me and you, we're strangers. We don't know nothing about each other. But it's funny, like, every time I talk to somebody, I learn something from them. And then I also realize, we're kind of thinking a lot alike.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just, I'm hoping that these conversations just change people's minds. Because, you're pretty much the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. With me, who do I have? My 3-year-old daughter, a couple of my friends I grew up with. I'm always and my parents. So the more I'm out there, the more, my mind changes, and I'm always thinking of different things like, okay, I never, honestly, when I was at the casino, I thought this was impossible what I'm doing. I was like, how am I going to get on the road and talk to people? And the more I'm doing it, the more it's just like it's just becoming, like I envision myself doing it, and then it slowly, like, happens. So.
Right.
So is there anything you think is important that people need to know, or you think could inspire people to kind of pursue their dreams, kind of what you're doing right now?
I just feel like when you're really old one day, you don't want to look back and just be like, what if I did that? What if I did that? Because you're not going to be young forever. And honestly, if you're healthy, that's like you cannot ask for more, because if you're healthy, and you have nice cars and you have nice things, but if you don't have that, you can't enjoy anything. You have nothing. If you don't have your health, you have nothing. So if you have your health and you are able to travel at whatever age, like 60s, my grandmother, who is over 80 years old, just went parasailing. So, like, what is your excuse? Like, anyone can do anything, you know? And so it just meant that getting over that mental fear of doing what you actually want to do. And people are going to give you shit, and that's fine. Like, that's, I don't know. I just imagine that would really, really be really terrible, to be old and not physically be able to do what you wanted to do and then have to wonder for the rest of your life. That sounds terrible to me.